I figured today I'm gonna read you fellers some scary stories. This one's gonna be called the 50-cent piece. The young couple departed much later than they expected from their cousin's house. They were still miles from home when dusk fell over the morrow. Windy roads they traveled. They should have stayed at the house. The horses were tired, the night was chilly, and there was no inn anywhere in sight. So they should have stayed home. The husband clicked his tongue thoughtfully, a sure sign that he was getting worried. His young wife laid a hand on his arm and suggested that they seek out a house and ask for shelter for the night. Maybe get some biscuits. Her husband considered his proposal for a moment, then smiled and acquiesced. As they traveled along bumpy road that led from Massachusetts to New York, they started watching for a house. Maybe one with lights on it. It was a husband who spotted light through the trees just when his wife had just resigned herself to a cold night spent in the parked carriage. He turned their horse into a narrow dirt road leading up a hill. A pleasant little house stood at the crest. The light was shining cheerfully from the windows, illuminating the well-kept pretty yard. The carriage was spotted as they drove up the hill, and an old man and his wife met the couple at their front door. The old folks were in their night clothes and had obviously been getting ready to go to bed, but their welcome was just as warm, with some French fried taters. The elderly couple introduced themselves as Mr. and Mrs. Brown. The old wife took the young woman by the arm, tutting briskly over her cold hands. "You'll catch your death out in this cold damp air," Miss Brown exclaimed. "Papa, put some more firewood on the fire." She whisked the young couple inside their cozy house and settled them into comfortable chairs close to the fireplace before the young husband could explain their reasons for their unexpected visit. As old man Brown built the fire, the young man asked if they might rent a room for the night. Reckon since they didn't have any other place to be, since there was no inn nearby, they were still many miles from home. They shouldn't have left in the first place. "Rent? Don't be ridiculous," exclaimed Mrs. Brown. "You must be our guest." She ignored the young couple's protest and bustled out of the room to get them some hot food. That was mighty Christian of them to do. Feeling overwhelmed by such kindness, the young man and his pretty wife stopped on their good meat and cakes placed before them and chatted merrily with the host and his wife. At the impromptu dinner, I guess that means I didn't have any plans or something, I don't know. I ain't that smart. Old man Brown and his wife escorted the weary couple to their room. As they parted for the night, the young husband once again volunteered to pay for their lodging. Mrs. Brown stiffened and shook her head reproachfully at the young man, and her husband said, "Nay, lady," and lied. "This is but a small service we offer you. Keep your money and buy something pretty for your young lady." The childless woke early and tiptoed out of the cozy home. The young man hesitated for a moment, then left a shiny 50-cent coin in the center of the kitchen table where the old couple could not miss it. That's reckonedly nice of them. They hitched up their horse, and they went on their way. After several miles, they came to Spiegeltown in New York. Why New York? Why can't they come down here? Spotting an inn, they went inside and purchased breakfast. Probably got some French fried taters and some biscuits and mustard. I'd do that. Sounds good right now. The innkeeper was a jolly feller who came over to talk to them while they ate. That was kind of rude. When the husband mentioned the nice old couple who had given them lodging the previous night, the innkeeper turned pale. Wonder why. Where did you say this house was? The innkeeper said. The husband described the location in pretty good detail. You must be mistaken, the innkeeper said. I know that place. The house was destroyed 3 years ago in a fire that killed the entire Brown family. I don't believe it, the husband said flatly. Mr. and Miss Brown were alive well last night. After debating the matter for a few minutes, the couple and the innkeeper drove their carriage back out of town toward the old Brown's place. The ground was quickly covered in bright sunshine. Must have been a pretty day. And the wife soon recognized the place where they had turned off the main road the night before. To her surprise, the narrow lane was overgrown with weeds, and dead branches crackled under the carriage's wheels as they turned into it. She glanced uneasily at her husband, and they saw what he saw, and they were pretty disturbed. The track had not looked this way when they left earlier this morning. Something wrong here. The carriage climbed the hill to the crest, and as they entered the yard, they saw a burnt-out shell of a house that had obviously not sheltered anyone in a long time. That's kind of scary sounding. This cannot be right, the wife exclaimed, climbing down from out of the carriage and walking toward the blackened ruins. This is the Brown House place, the innkeeper said. This is not where we stayed last evening, the husband insisted, slipping from the driver's seat to join the innkeeper on the ground. I must have been mistaken in the direction. And then the wife of the man gave a terrifying scream and swayed. Must have saw something scary. Her husband leapt forward and caught her in his arms as she crumpled to the ground in a dead faint. Searching for the cause of her fright, the husband looked into the ruins and saw a burnt table with a shiny 50-cent piece lying in the center, just where he had left it. That's kind of scary. Well, that's all for tonight, folks, for our little scary stories. Y'all have a good night.